This is Federalist 33, Part 1. Hamilton is going to talk some more about the issue of taxation, the issue of supremacy of the Constitution, and I'll start reading it, then we'll discuss it a little bit more. The first paragraph is the residue of the argument against the provisions of the Constitution in respect to taxation is engrafted upon the following clauses. The last clause of the 8th section of the first article authorizes the national legislature to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the powers by that Constitution vested in the government of the United States or in any department or officer thereof. And the second clause of the 6th article declares that the Constitution and the laws of the United States made in pursuance thereof, and the treaties made by their authority shall be the supreme law of the land. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. So he actually reads a couple of parts of the Constitution and he says it. See, every Constitution has a few articles. So here it says Article 1, okay? Then he goes to the section, he says Section 8. Then it goes to smaller part which says clause. So he says the last clause of Section 8 of Article 1 tells us this. And the second clause of the 6th article declares that the Constitution and the laws of the United States made in pursuance. It says the Constitution is supreme. And there are some anti-federalists that are criticizing, and they're saying, well, wait a minute. If you say this and the Constitution says this, well, you can gradually, slowly, little by little, take away the powers of the states, the authority of the state, and give it all to the national government. So they're criticizing because they say this might end up in the tyranny of just one national government instead of a federal system. And also, they don't like the fact that Article 6 says the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So Hamilton is going to talk about these two criticisms and answer them back. These two clauses have been the source of much virulent invective and petulant declamation against the proposed Constitution. They have been held up to the people in all the exaggerated colors of misrepresentation as the pernicious engines by which their local governments were to be destroyed and their liberties exterminated. As the hideous monster whose devouring jaws would spare neither sex nor age, nor high nor low, nor sacred nor profane. And yet, strange as it may appear, after all this clamor, to those who may not have happened to contemplate them in the same light, it might be affirmed with perfect confidence that the constitutional operation of the intended government would be precisely the same if these clauses were entirely obliterated, as if they were repeated in every article. They are only declaratory of a truth which would have resulted by the necessary and unavoidable implication from the very act of constituting a federal government, and vesting it with certain specified powers. This is so clear a proposition that moderation itself can scarcely listen to the railings which have been so copiously vented against this part of the plan without emotions that disturb its equanimity. See, he's very upset. Hamilton, you can see it in the tone of his voice and his writing that he's frustrated with these people that constantly say, you're going to take power from the states and all the power will go to the national government. All the local governments, all the county governments, city government, you're going to take authority away from them. He keeps on saying, these people that are saying this are crazy. They're imagining things. They're coming up with stuff in their minds. And that is far from the truth. He says, well, look, if you establish a government, if you frame a government and you want it to have authority and ability to do what it's supposed to do, then you have to be able to let it do its job. Don't be a burden on it. Don't block it. Don't take away what it needs to get the job done. Because he says, look, we've had experience. We've had these 11 years since the start of the revolution, and we see that the state governments have violated certain things, and if we want to unite, we have to correct these mistakes. We have to stop state governments from doing certain things and give that authority to the federal or national government. It doesn't mean you're going to take any of the rights of the states away. It just means that the right has to be in the hand of the right people. The authority has to be in the hand of the right people to get the job done. Because remember, constantly you have to remember one of those lines, the first lines in Federalist number 1. He says, we want a union, and the reason is your political prosperity. In other words, we want to create a situation where you're at peace with one another. And when you're at peace with one another, you can prosper in the future. All the people of different states, all the people of America can prosper because the political system is a good one. So you have to have the right balance in power, separation of power, judicial independence. And at the same time, you have to accept that there should be one law that's supreme in any country. So he said, well, we say this Constitution is the supreme law of the land, is the ultimate law, because it is going to be, it's written in a convention by delegates, and it's going to be ratified by delegates that people choose to study this Constitution and say yes or no to it. So, because we have chosen this method of ratification, that people have a hand in actually saying yes or no to it, that we can call it the supreme law of the land, the highest law in the land. So keep that in mind. The method of ratification of this Constitution is very important. That's why they constantly say people are the fountain of power, fountain of authority. Because of that, we're going to send this Constitution to special ratifying conventions that people have chosen the delegates to. So we can call this law, this Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Because people are the ones that are going to say yes or no. And if they say yes, they are saying yes to the supreme of the land, supreme law of the land. We'll continue in the next video.